Hello there everyone. This video we'll be revising chapter 1, which is the basic rules of algebra, right? So to start with, what I would like to tell you is this video is going to be quite a different one where you will help me complete this video along with playing the video, right? But before starting, I just wanted to give you this piece of advice because many students have this negative thought in their mind that math is difficult. That's because you think it is difficult. Your brain is trained to think that something is difficult. Okay, so the advice I would like to give you is any situation, it's not only for math, anything happens, just think positive. Positive in the sense, think that it's easy, think it's not difficult. The good things, just feed your brain the good things. So definitely your brain will start responding in a good way too. So when you start thinking positive on any situation, now this is not only regarding math and regard, I'm telling in any regard. So it's just a piece of advice from me. So when you start thinking positive, that's when you give your the information for your brain that things are good, they are going fine, they're easy. What happens is you start believing yourself that you can do something. That's how our body is meant to respond, right? Whatever you feed the brain, definitely there is a reaction for that. So when you think something is easy, something is not difficult, yes, your body starts, mind starts saying, yes, you can do it. When you start doing something, when you start believing in yourself that you can do it, you just love the thing you're doing. Now, yes, on the screen clicking is I love math, but I'm not only talking about math, this is applicable in every situation. So always think positive so that you will start believing that you can do it, and when you start doing it, you will love what you're doing, right? So this is just a piece of advice because I just want to remove this negative thought of math which is in many students' mind that math is difficult. Why are we studying math? All these things. Just it's math is just a game with numbers. If you take it in an interesting way, definitely math is going to be helping you throughout. But if you think no, it's difficult, I don't understand, I don't want to understand, definitely that's how we will respond to. So it's not going to benefit anyone, right? So to start with, this is chapter 1. First, let me show you all the concepts which are in chapter 1. That is about adding equations, subtracting equations, multiplying equations, dividing equations, solving for a variable, and solving absolute value equations. Now, why did I list them? When you are studying for an exam or a quiz, make sure that you have done every question from each of these concepts. So there are 7 concepts, so you need to choose at least 3 to 4 questions of each concept and try to do it to check whether you have any problem in understanding, or do you have any other problem where you are finding it difficult to know all these things. Definitely you need to touch all these 7 things which you have learned in chapter 1, right? Now before I start, let me give you a quick review of chapter 1. Now definitely this is not going to be a detailed explanation because this is just a review video, right? So for the detailed explanation, do click the iCard above. I have left the links there for chapter 1 lessons which we have already discussed because the detailed explanation is given in that videos. So for a quick review here, the most important thing, one of the important things we need to solve equations is the inverse operations. Now by luck, if you remember what is inverse operation, inverse means the opposite and operation means the 4 math symbols or the more 4 math terms which we always use. I think from our lower grades we have been doing these 4 things: adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. So basically math is completely built on these 4 operations: add, subtract, multiply, or divide. So using these 4 operations, let's look at what are the inverse means. What is the opposite of each of this operation? So starting with addition, the inverse is going to be subtraction. Then the operation is subtraction. The inverse, that's the opposite, is going to be addition. Then comes multiplication. Can you guess what is the inverse operation of multiplication going to be? Right, it's division. So same way, the opposite of division is going to be multiplication. Now this is one of the important parts you have to remember when you're solving equations. Because the whole of math is built on equations also. So these are the integer rules. Okay, so again, I'm not going to very deep details here. I'm just going to just brush up, that's all. Okay, so when you are adding which with two same signs, you will add the numbers, but then you will keep the sign the same. For example, if you're adding -3 and -5, -3, -5, what will you do? You will add 3 plus 5, that will give you an 8, and then you will keep the negative number the same because both of them have negative numbers. So -3 plus -5 is going to give you a -8, right? Similarly, if you are subtracting, that is, for example, if you have -3 and +5, so you have there two different numbers, -3 plus 5. What you're going to do when you have two separate symbols, two different symbols, you're going to subtract both the numbers. So which are the numbers I told you? -3 plus 5. So you will subtract 5 and 3. So 5 minus 3 gives you a 2. Now the thing is, you need to decide which sign are you going to choose. Are you going to choose the negative or the positive? Now in this case, we choose the positive sign because we choose the number which we choose the sign which the greater number has. So -3 positive 5 means 5 is greater and it has the positive sign. So these are the rules you need to follow when you are adding or subtracting equations. Now for multiplication and division, the rules are going to be the same. So when you are multiplying two positive numbers, or you're dividing two positive numbers, your answer will always be a positive one. Similarly, if you are multiplying two negative numbers, or you're multiplying two negative numbers, or you're dividing two negative numbers, your answer will still be a positive number. That's like if you divide -8 divided by -4 will give you a 2, not a -2. It will give you a positive 2, which is a 2. So that's what the rule here says. Now, if you are multiplying or dividing a positive number with a negative number, the answer is always going to be a -1. Example, -10 divided by 5. -10 divided by +5, your answer will be -2. Because whenever you divide or multiply a negative number with a positive number, or you multiply or divide a positive number with a negative number, your answer will always be a -1. Right, so these were the rules in short. Definitely, if you don't understand, please do watch the video. It will give a clear idea of what the rules are about. Right, now what I want you to do is, I want you to pause the video here, go and grab some papers and a pencil, because as I told you, you're going to help me complete this video, right? So pause the video here, go get some papers and a pencil. Alright, so I hope you have got your papers and pencil and you're ready to do this video with me. Right, so what I will be doing is, I'll be giving you some questions. You will solve it rather than me explaining every time. This is what we do in the videos. I keep talking and you just keep listening. So this time I'm going to give you a question and you are going to solve the question by yourself. Then let's discuss the answers. Right, so your question coming up in 3, 2, 1. There you go, your first question. Solve each equation. 16 equals m plus 9. So your choices are 20, 25, 10, and 7. Your time, I will definitely give you a timer, so your time starts now. So you've got 20 seconds more. 9, 5 seconds more. Okay, so that's time up. Let's check the answer. So your answer had to be 7. If you've got the answer as 7, well, that's a great job which you have done. Now, let's see how you got the answer. This is an easy one. It in fact did not need a minute, so you could just guess like what gives you 16, 9 plus what gives you 16. So that's mental math 7. But then this is math and everything needs a proof, right? So if anyone asks how did you find out it's 7, so you need to show the steps. So here we go. We will look at the steps. 16 equals m plus n. Now what we need to do is we need to isolate the m to find the value of m. Isolate means to keep the m alone. So to keep the m alone, we are going to move all the numbers which are with m. So here it is plus 9, m plus 9. So we have to remove this plus 9 from m. So what we do is we move it to the other side to remove it. When it moves to the other side, the sign which is with the number changes. It becomes the inverse. That's why I said inverse operations are very important in this chapter. So plus 9 becomes a minus 9 when it changes to the other side of the equal sign. If it is in the same side, it doesn't change. Only if it changes to the other side of the equal sign, it changes the sign. So the opposite of plus is minus. So 16 minus 9 will give you a 7. So the value of 7 is m. Value of m is 7. All right, so ready for your next question? Here you go. So the next question is 2 equals, solve the equation. 2 equals d plus 1 over 4. So I will start the timer. So the options given for you are 2 1/4, 7 fourth, 1/4, and 1 1/4. So I hope you can just quickly write down the question, right? Then let me start the timer. You have the time going. Got 30 seconds more. Fifteen seconds more. 5 seconds more. And your time is up. Right, let's go ahead and see what is the answer. So the answer, that is 2 equals d plus 1 over 4. The answer for this is 7 over 4, right? If you have done that, you have really done a good job there. Right, so let's find out how we can get 7 over 4. So the question says 2 equals d plus 1 over 4. Just like the previous question, we need to isolate the d. Isolate means we need to move whatever numbers are there with d to the other side of the equation. So here we have plus 1 over 4. So we need to move it to the other side, right? Because we need to keep the numbers together always. So when it moves to the other side, when the plus 1 over 4 moves to the other side, what does that become? That becomes minus 1 over 4. All right, now what's the next step? Next step is we need to find an we have to change this into a fraction. The whole 2 we need to change into a fraction. Now if you change it into a fraction, that's going to give you 2 over 1. right? Now, if it was 2 over 1, definitely you cannot subtract, because when you're subtracting, your numerate denominators have to be the same. That's the rule. If you change this into a fraction, that's going to be 2 over 1, which you cannot subtract until the denominators become 4. So to change it into a denominator of 4, I have to multiply the numerator as well as the denominator by 4. So that's how I got 8 over 4. 4 multiplied 2 gives us 8, and 4 ones will give us 4. Right, so the remaining part is 8 minus 1 is 7, and 4 minus 4 we do not do because we are doing fractions. So the 4 remains the same. So the answer is 7 over 4 equals D. Now in the options, 7 over 4 was given, so you could easily choose 7 over 4. But sometimes they will give you the answer in mixed number form. So how do you change an improper fraction into a mixed number? You simply divide 7 by 4. When you divide 7 by 4, you will get 1 and 3 as the remainder. So that's how we write 1 as the whole number, 3 the remainder up, and the denominator stays the same. So it really depends on the options. They will give you this, or they can give you like this, the mixed number also. Right. So moving on to the next question. Here is the next question for you. If p minus 4 equals 2, find the value of fp minus 20. I will repeat it. If p minus 4 equals 2, find the value of 5p minus 20. So the options are 20, 6, 10, and 8. So I will start the timer. Quickly write down the question. Right, hopefully you have written down. So your time starts now. You've got 30 seconds to finish it because it's an easy one. 10 seconds more. 5 more. 2, 1, and your time is up. So time up. Right, so let's see what the correct answer is. The correct answer is 10. So that's a very good job if you have got the correct answer as 10. So let's see how we can get the answer. So read the question carefully. They have said here, if p minus 4 equals to, find the value of 5p minus 20. So using this equation here, first we need to find out what's the value of p. Only then we can use the value of p to find out the value of 5p minus 20. That's why an equation is given, so that we will find the value of p first. Just like even in equations, wherever we have to find another like equation. So first we need to find the x. So similarly here we have to find the p first. So let's find it first. You know now what to do. You have to isolate the p. Isolate means move whichever number is with the p to the other side. So here it's negative 4. When the negative 4 moves to the other side, that becomes the inverse. So that becomes 2 plus 4. So p equals 2 plus 4. P equals 6. Now if you notice, I have written all the equal signs right under each other because this is the correct way to do math, so that our work will be neat, as well as anyone who is watching will have a clarity on how the steps have been done. Rather than writing everything together, this is a perfect way of showing your work. So make sure that you write equal signs right under each other, so that both sides of the equation will be clear enough. Right, so now we have got the value of p. What we are going to do is substitute the value of p in 5p minus 20. So 5p minus 20, in place of p, we write 6 because that's what we found. 5, 6 are going to be 30. 30 minus 20 is going to give us a 10. So the correct answer is 10. Well, if you have got it wrong, no problem. It's all right to make mistake. Just write the same question twice and repeat it again. Definitely you will be able to do another similar question. Or you can try changing your own, like the numbers by yourself. You create your own question and then you try to do that question as well. Right. So the next question coming up for you in 3 seconds. Okay, so the next question. The number of pages Kara reads in a week can be found by using W equals PD plus E, where W is the total number of pages she reads in a week, P is the number of pages Kara reads in a day, D is the number of days, and E is any extra pages she reads. Find W when P equals 21, D equals 7, and E equals 2. Now, what I want you to do is, I want you to pause the video here, read the question by yourself one more time. So pause and read it. Okay, so did you read the question? Fine. Now, if you have read the question, try to find the answer. So the options for you are 140, 147, 30, and 149. So your time starts now. You have to finish by the time this circle completes its rotation. Right, your time is up. So the correct answer for this question is 149. If you have got 149, real you have done an awesome work there. Right, so let's see what the question is and how can you solve the question. So the equation given for us is W equals PD plus E, and they have given us the value of each of these variables. We just have to put them in the correct place and find them out. So PD means P multiplied by D. You know, when two variables or two a variable and a number are together means they have been multiplied. So we are just going to write P is 21, D is 7. So 21 multiplied by 7 plus 2. So first we multiply, that's the order of operations. So first multiply 21 by 7, that's 147 plus 2 will give us 149. It's easy, isn't it? Only the question looks very difficult because they give explanation of the questions because they have to give a real life situation. That's all. That's why the question looks bigger. Other than that, the question, if once you understand the question, it's easier to solve. Right. So the next question coming up for you is solve 16 minus 5a equals negative 9. 16 minus 5a equals negative 9. So the options are 5, 25, negative 25, and an 8. 5, 25, negative 25, and 8. So let me start the timer for you. Your time starts now. So your time is up. Right, I hope you have done it before the time. So the correct answer for this question is 5. Right, so if you've got 5, well, that's a bit too noisy, but we can manage it. So that's a good job done by you. Let's discuss the answer. So the question is 16 minus 5a equals negative 9. Again, what we need to do is we need to isolate the variable. But here you can see that there is a negative 5 with the a. So first what we are going to do is move the number to the other side. Right? We do not move the letter and the number together, but we do move the number which is alone without not together with this. So it's positive 16. When it moves to the other side, that becomes a negative 16. So negative 5a equals negative 9, negative 16. So the next step is, now you have two negative numbers. This is where the integer rules come in place. So negative 9, negative 16. So you have two negative numbers. What is the rule you're going to follow? You're going to add both the numbers, but then you're going to keep the sign the same. So it's going to give you negative 5a equals a negative 25. Right? 9 plus 16 is 25, but because both of them are negative, we keep the negative sign. Now, the next thing we are going to do is, definitely we are going to find out how much is a, what is a, right? So here this means, what does this mean? What do you think this means? This means negative 5 multiplied by a, because just previously I told you if two variables or number and a variable are together means they have been multiplied. So similarly here negative 5 multiplied by a. Now we need to remove this negative 5 from a because we need to isolate the a. So again what happens is the negative 5 moves to the other side. Negative 5 multiplied by a. So what is the opposite of multiply? Opposite of multiply is divide. So we are going to divide negative 25 by negative 5. Now it is okay to write like this. It is okay even to write it in a fraction form. Just draw a line here and write negative 5 down. It means the same. We are going to divide. So when now again you are dividing two negative numbers, the answer you're going to get is going to be a positive 1. This is what the integer rules say. If you're dividing two negative numbers, the answer you're going to get should be a positive 1. So simply divide 25 divided by 5 is going to give us a 5, and it's going to be a negative, it's going to be a positive 5 because both of them have negative signs. So this is how the answer is going to be 5. Well, I know it's a two-step equation question. So if you are not able to do it, pause the video here, open your book, try to do 2 or 3 questions similar, and then you can proceed with the remaining questions. Right, so the next question coming up for you is solve 4x plus 2 equals 6x plus 2. So the options given to you are x equals 5, x equals negative 5, x equals 10, or x equals 12. So hopefully you have written down the question. So I'm going to start the timer for you. You need to finish before the time. Hurry up because the time is almost finishing. Well, your time is up. Right. So let's see the correct answer. The correct answer is x equals negative 5. If you have got that answer correct, well, that's a very good job. Right, now let's see how we can get this answer. So you can see this parenthesis, that means each of the terms should be multiplied with 6. So first you need to multiply 6 with x and then 6 with 2. So when you multiply 6 with x, you will get 6x, and when you multiply 6 with 2, you will get a 12, right? 6 multiplied 2 is 12. Now next you know what to do. Keep the variables on one side, move the numbers together. So to move the variable to one side, that is, you have a 4x here and a 6x here. So let's move this 6x to the other side and move this plus 2 to the other side, right? Now this is how your equation will look. Or even you can do the other way around. You can move the 12 to this side and 4 to x to the other side. But anyhow, the answer you're going to get is going to be the same. So it's more preferable to keep the variables on the left hand side, right? So 6x, 4 minus 4x minus 6. Now here you have a positive 4 and a negative 6. So how much is positive 4 minus negative 6? Positive 4 negative 6 is going to give you a negative 2. How did it become negative 2? Because 6 minus 4 is 2, but 6 is the greater number and has the greater sign and has the negative sign. So because 6 is greater and has the negative sign, we choose the negative sign. So negative 2x equals 12 minus 2, which is going to give you a 10. Right, so there was, I don't know, an extra 5 there, so I have to remove that. Negative 2, so let's start from here. 4x minus 6x is negative 2x. 12 minus 2 is going to give us a 10. So the next step is going to be, we are going to separate the negative 2 from the x. This means negative 2 multiplied by x because they both are together. So what's the inverse of multiply? Divide. So we are going to do x is equal to 10 divided by negative 2. So x is going to be equal to negative 5. Why did it become negative 5? Because the integer rule says if you divide a positive number with a negative number, the answer is going to be always a negative number. So 10 divided by 2 gives you a 5, and then it is going to be a negative number because we divided it with a negative number. Right. So the next question coming up for you. So here is your question. Solve 5n equals negative 60. Solve 5n equals negative 60. So the answers are 300, negative 17, negative 12, and 12. So your time starts now. Hurry up because your time is almost up. So your time is up. Yes, it's up. Right. It was an easy one. I don't think that you need 30 seconds to even do that question. So the correct answer for this question is a negative 12. Right. So really awesome work if you have got the correct answer. Let's see how we got negative 12. The question says 5n equals negative 60, which means 5 multiplied by n equals negative 60. As you know, we have to always isolate the variable. So to isolate the variable, we need to remove the number. To remove the number, what do? We have to do the opposite. So here it's 5 multiplied by n, which means it's going to be negative 60 divided by 5 because we are removing, we're separating the 5 from the n. So when you separate, you do the inverse. So the inverse of multiply is divide. So here we are dividing a negative number with a positive one. So your answer needs to be a negative one for sure. So negative 60 divided by 5 is going to give you a negative 12 because 60 divided by 5 is 12, but it is negative because we are dividing a negative number. So the answer must be a negative 1. Well, ready for the next question? Here comes your next question. Solve x divided by 6 equals negative 4. So the answers are 5, negative 24, negative 10, and negative 405. Uh, negative 405. Your time starts now. You have 20 seconds to finish the question. And your time is up. Right, so the correct answer for this question is negative 24. It was a simple one, isn't it? So how do you get this answer? Well, if you got negative 24, that's good job. Fine. So the question says x divided by 6 equals negative 4, right? Which means to isolate the x, we will do the opposite of what is there. So this is divide. So the opposite of divide is multiply. We are going to multiply negative 4 with a 6. So you're multiplying a negative number with a positive one. So your answer must be a negative 1. So 4, 6 are going to be 24. It is going to be negative 24 because we multiplied with a negative number. That's how you have to get a negative 24. Right. So let's move on. The next question coming up for you. Solve P equals KT divided by V for K. Now what does this question mean? This question means you have to change this equation to make it K equal to what? That's what they mean by 4K. So you need to solve the equation as K equals what? So the answers are K equals KT divided by V, K equals V divided by PT, K equals VP divided by T, K equals PV divided by T. These are the options for you. So quickly write down the question. So your time starts now. So your time is almost up. Yes, it is. Right. So the correct answer is K equals PV divided by T. Well, high five if you have done that correct. Because it was an easy one. It doesn't need much time, even like the numbers, because they are all variables. Right? Let's see how we can get the answer. So first all what we need to do is we need to get rid of this v which is down, which is under the like divided by kt divided by v. So I always have advised you read the question so that you will know what to do. So kt divided by v, which means to remove the v we need to do the opposite. So the opposite of divide is multiply. So we multiply the p with the v. So that gives us a PV equals KT. Now we are going to solve the equation for K. So which means again we need to remove this T from here. What does this KT mean? KT means K multiplied by T, right? So when you want to remove the T, what happens is it becomes divide. So PV divided by T equals K, or K equals PV divided by T as given in the choices. This both means the same, only the K is back behind here and here the K is front. That's all, right? So the main part is this one, PV divided by T equals K. So that was an easy one. And now again I'm telling you it's alright to make mistakes, no problem. But if you have done anything wrong, just pause the video here, open the related textbook page for you. Try to do some 2 or 3 questions which you have already done in the previous videos or you have solved during the classes, and then do the question 2-3 times the same question. Keep repeating doing the same thing. You will definitely get the correct answer when you solve the next one. Right. So let's move on. The next question coming up for you. Solve 3x plus 7y equals 2 for y. Similar to the previous question, but here you have to solve for y, which means you have to make this equation y equals to what? Okay. You have to follow the same steps that you followed in the previous question. So the choices given for you are y equals 2 minus 3x over 7, y equals 3x minus 7 over 2 or divided by 2, y equals 3x minus 7. Okay, that's the same option I feel. Okay, so I just put a negative sign there. Y equals negative 3x negative 7 divided by 2. or y equals 3x minus 7. So which one do you think is the answer going to be? Quickly write down the question and the options, or at least the question, so that you can solve it and then you can choose the option later. So I'm going to start the timer for you. Your time starts now. So your time is up. Yes, it is up. Right. So the correct answer for this question is y equals 2 minus 3x divided by 7. Let's, well, this far, so far you're doing a very good job. At least if you're not getting the answers right, you're at least trying to do the questions. So you're learning something, right? You know what are the things you need to concentrate. You know what are the things you need to go back and study now. Right. So let's see, how do we get this answer? So the question says 3x plus 7y equals 2, which means we have to, and we have to solve for y, which means we have to make the equation y equals 2. So to do that, first we need to remove this 3x, because this is nothing to do with the y. So we move this 3x to the other side. That becomes 7y equals 2 minus 3x. Alright, now that we have this equation, we have to remove the 7 from the y. So many times now already we have repeated saying this means 7 multiplied by y. When a number and a variable are together means they are multiplied. So 7 multiplied by y equals 2 minus 3x. To remove the 7, we have to do the opposite. So what's the opposite of multiply? That's divide. So y is going to be equal to 2 minus 3x divided by 7. This is how you need to solve these questions, and this concept is solving for a variable. Right? So the next question, ready for the next question? Here you go. Your question is, solve absolute value of 2x plus 1 equals 7. The absolute value of 2x plus 1 equals 7. So the options are negative 6 and 6, negative 3.5 and 3.5, positive 3.5, negative 3 and 3, and 0. So your time starts. I think you can write down the question first. So your time starts now. So you've got 20 seconds left. 5, time up. Right. So the answer for the correct answer for this question is, what do you think is the correct answer? Negative 3 and 3. Well, how did we get negative 3 and 3? You need to consider this the same way as how you are solving an equation. So the first thing you need to do is move the plus 1 to the other side, because we need to keep this absolute value. Now we are going to isolate the absolute value, the numbers which are inside these two lines. This is called the absolute value. So we remove this one first. So here it's plus 1. When it goes to the other side, that becomes 7 minus 1. So which means 2x is equal to 6. 7 minus 1 equals 6. Now because you're solving absolute value equations, you have to give two possibilities, right? Because this is a positive number. If an absolute value equations equals a positive number, there will be two solutions. So this is how you get the two solutions. One is 2x equals 6. The other one is 2x equals minus 6. So if the absolute, I'm repeating again, do listen to me carefully and write down if possible. If an absolute value equation equals a positive number, then there are two answers for the question. Okay, So here we have given 2x equals 7 as one possibility, 2x equals negative 6 as another possibility. So these are the two possibilities we need to give. So now you will just solve as how you would normally solve an equation. X is going to be 6 divided by 2, which is going to give you a 3, and on the other side x is going to be equal to negative 6 divided by 2, which is going to also give you a negative 3. So these are the two possibilities for x. X is equal to 3 and x is equal to negative 3. So that's why this was the correct answer. So let's move on. The next question for you is, how many solutions does 2 absolute value of x minus 4 plus 7 equal 5 have? How many solutions do you think this has? No solution, one solution, two solutions, or many solutions? So it's just a question, like you don't need to solve, but you can just guess it. But still, solving is always better because that will give you a perfect, sure assurance of your answers. So write down the question so that you can solve and find out how many solutions does that have. Does it have no solution, or does it have one solution, or two solutions, or uh, many solutions? So many solutions. So your time starts now. You have 20 seconds. 5 seconds more. And time up. Right. So the correct answer for this question is no solution. Why do we say this as no solution? First, we need to solve this equation to find out how many solutions will this equation have. So to solve that, if you have got the answer as no solution, that's a good job. So let's check how we can get this answer, right? So the answer was no solution. The question says 2x minus 4 plus 7 equals 5. So the first thing is we need to remove these numbers which are outside the absolute value lines. Except this, we need to get rid of this number, we need to solve this number, or so the first thing we are going to do is move the plus 7 to the other side. So what does the plus 7 become when it comes to the other side? It becomes a negative 7. So that gives us 2x minus 4 equals negative 2, right? Now the next one is you have to get rid of this 2. Now as you can see that this means it's multiply, right? 2 multiplied by the absolute value of x minus 4. So the opposite of multiply is going to be divide. So you're going to divide negative 2 by 2. So finally you will get the absolute value as x minus 4. Absolute value of x minus 4 equals negative 1, because you're dividing a negative number with a positive one. So negative 2 divided by 2 is going to give you a 1. Right. So now this inequality, this absolute value has negative number equals to a negative number. Now remember, in the previous question we said that if an absolute value equals a positive number, it will have two solutions, right? Then this is another case of absolute value equation where if an absolute value equation equals a negative number, that means it will have no solution. Okay, if an absolute value equation equals a negative number, that means it will have no solution. What if an absolute value equation equals 0? It will have just one solution. So there are three cases you need to remember in absolute value equations. The first one, if the absolute value equation equals a positive number, then there will be two possibilities, two solutions for that. If the absolute value equation equals to a negative number, there will be no solution. And if the absolute value equation equals a 0, that means there will be only one solution. But to find that out, definitely we need to solve it. Like we need to get rid of these numbers which are outside the absolute value um, lines. So that's why we first got rid of the negative +7 and then we got rid of the 2. So this is how you solve your equations, absolute value equations. Right. Now it's important to remember, this is what I was just explaining. If an absolute value equals a negative number means no solution. If an absolute value equals 0 means there is one solution. And if an absolute value equals a positive number, then it will have two solutions. Not only two, if any positive number, even if it equals 6, it will have two solutions. Right. So that brings us to the end of our video. Hope you have enjoyed this, and definitely it would have been helpful for you. Right, do comment and let me know how many of you got like how many answers or how many questions you got it correct. It's okay to share even if you have done mistake, it's okay. We are just revising, that's all. So stay tuned for the next video. That's going to be a revision video for geometry. So till we meet again in the next video, don't forget what you have studied, right? Try to keep practicing because that's the only thing which can help you. So see you all in the next video.